Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Have a Pint. Today we have Samuel Adams Rebel Rouser Double IPA, or as it says on the bottle, Imperial IPA, and I don't know why there's such a bad glare on the bottle. It is from the Boston Beer Company. It is a double IPA, 8.4% alcohol by volume, 85 IBUs. By the way, Imperial IPA, I've not actually heard that in years. Everybody just says double anymore. Even on here, though, it says Imperial/double IPA, but I've not heard Imperial used in many years. I really just hear that like with Imperial Stouts anymore. The Untapped description reads, "This double IPA is big, brewed with over 5 pounds per barrel, hopefully that makes it good, of American and Australian hops, and packed with fruity, citrus, pine, and resin notes for a bold hop finish." Before we get into any story, and by the way, I got a lot of content for this video because books are a passion. Anyways, I got my Tiku glass. I enjoy using this for pretty much anything that's big or very complex, which are none of Surly's Coffee Bender, but I just love that beer so much that I drink it out of here because it still works. I typically, like I said, use this for the bigger beers, but I drink that one out of this because I love that beer so much. Okay. Bear with me here for a moment. And I'm not cutting this out. You can get me in all my stupid weirdness. Well, I'll just go back, okay. Because I want to keep up the page for the one I just reviewed, which you'll probably see before this, and you might see it after this one. Anyways, for Rebel, regular Rebel, not the Imperial. But anyways, when we poured this, it had 2 fingers of head. Now it is currently at 1. I want to keep that page up because I don't want to forget to, and holy hell, that's the same thing. What am I doing? Oh, that's it right there, though. I don't want to forget to rate it. I tend to forget to rate the beers that I have on here, and then I gotta watch the video just to figure out what I rated it. Because I'll know that I liked it, or, you know, but I won't remember, like, did I want to rate it a 3.75, a 4, or a 4.25, or whatever? You know, and I want to make sure I rate it exactly how I felt in that moment. Anyways, fairly light for a double. It's kind of cloudy. You know, like the last one, I can see through it, shadow a little bit. This thing is bursting with a lot more flavor, though, but it should because it's bigger. I definitely get piney out of it. That was part of that, right? Yeah, I definitely get pine. Some resin. I don't get any citrus, though. Excited to actually taste this. I feel like I'm going to like this more than their other IPA. Which they never did a double IPA before this one, did they? I don't think they did. I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments if I am wrong. And then I will wish I had tried that beer. Immense hop flavor. Wow, this one is so much better. I think it's a lot better than what that rating is. I can't get past that. It's definitely a full-bodied beer. No carbonation that I can... I mean, there's carbonation. There's always carbonation, but... you can't get the carbonation out of this, but anyways. I definitely get the citrus somewhere in there. Let's study this. And right up front, there's that burst of bitterness. Piney right up front, too. In the middle, I really just get bitterness. Is the citrus all the way through? I get citrus all the way through, but as everything else goes away, it shines through more in the end. But I definitely get it all the way through. Weird thing that I just thought of, because I like watching people on YouTube do beer reviews, which I want to do more than just that. But anyways, get out of here, you fucking gnat! How did you in fucking apartment? Anyways, whenever I have a really big rare beer like KBS or 120 Minute, both recently, I actually, when I was drinking them, looked up reviews on them and watched reviews of people drinking it while I drink it. I think I'm not grossed out by anything like that. But for literally nothing else, I go out of my way for beer reviews. I'll watch what's there, like, oh, that seemed like a good beer. Most of the time I watch stout reviews or imperial stouts. But yeah, 50+% of what I drink is IPAs. And at this point, when I'm going for something new, most of it's going to be IPAs, because I've pretty much had everything else I can have in this area, for the most part. Obviously, there are still standouts, but most of what I have not had in this area is IPAs, unfortunately. And like I said, 50% of the beer shelves when I go there, to any store really, is IPA. I guess Beertopia down on 32nd and Farnham might not be that way. They might, but then again, I feel like at least 50% of their inventory is import, and I do enjoy import, but American beer is absolutely the best beer on the planet, besides the shitty back rows. Oh, so much hop right up front, so much bitterness. It's so good, and it coats the glass as well. But anyways, the story for this, you enjoying sniffing those books? For this one is books, writing. Yeah, I like watching Jenna Moressi's channel because she's a writer and she gives tips for writers. And I've actually used some of her tips. I use her tips. I have 2 of her books. One of them I just got, and I'm waiting to read it, because as much as I love her writing, I was in the middle of something when I got it, and I didn't get finished with that, which I still haven't finished. I got like 50 pages left, and it's not going to finish till I finish what I'm reading right now, because this person is my favorite author. Or is it this person? I'll say both are, depending on who I'm talking about at said time, or if this one's released a book recently. But anyways, I don't really use anything in her writing to help mold my style of writing, but the writers I have used as inspiration, I am so sorry I'm out of earshot, or camera shot. I like things to be straight, even. But anyways, I use one thing I got from Max Hawthorne was he likes to describe his villains or beasts in his Chronos Rising series. Uh, he'll have chapters that are devoted to the Chronosauruses, or in the uh, second book in the series, and third technically now, the Kraken, which I think the Kraken's going to be a trilogy in the Chronos Rising Arch series thing. In those, he'll have scenes with the Kraken, where it just follows that character around, and it inspired me a lot. My main thing I am writing is the series is called Zoe, and that's why that is tattooed on my arm. Everybody thinks that that's like an ex-girlfriend or something. Never anything like that. I love my girlfriend to death, and we've been together almost 2 years at this point. And I would not be surprised if, that gets up to like 50, 60, 70,000 years. But I would never do that. I don't care if I'm 70 years old, I'm still with her. I'm not going to do it. But, and this is actually my only tattoo. It's not necessarily that I don't want more tattoos. I just gotta have a big motivation to get a tattoo. This one has a big meaning to me, and that's the only way I'm going to get a tattoo. But anyways, the original reason, I don't know if most of those I wanted to expand upon the character of my villain, and I definitely did that after I had originally put the book on Amazon. Not only that, I massively expanded it with other characters and other storylines, to where it's vaguely similar to Game of Thrones, which, shit, I did not grab one of those books, but everybody knows what those look like. Or not Game of Thrones. I hate it when people call the books Game of Thrones, because it is a Song of Ice and Fire. That is what the books are called. The show, yes, call it Game of Thrones, because that's the name of the show, but that's only the first book. The series is the Song of Ice and Fire. One thing I got from that was I like my chapters to be centered on a certain character, and it changes every chapter, and I have changed every chapter to where the title of that chapter is that character, like Game of Thrones has. And the chapter basically is the viewpoint of that character. I don't feel like it's as exciting as Game of Thrones. I love what I write, but I don't feel like it's that exciting. At some points, but anyways. I draw inspiration from A Song of Ice and Fire or from George R. R. Martin. In that sense, I draw inspiration from Max Hawthorne for my villains. I've drawn inspiration from other places as well. My biggest inspiration is, and I didn't grab one of his books, but it doesn't matter, everybody knows who he is. What's his name? Michael Crichton. Michael Crichton is a very big influence. He was actually the reason I started writing. My first book, my first story I wrote, that's supposed to be, I like to go back and read. I could never release it because it is fan fiction, but I absolutely love reading it because it is the worst writing on the planet. But you can also see the progression from how shitty it was the shittiest thing on the planet at the beginning, and at the end it's the second shittiest thing on the planet. And I enjoy that transition. I feel like what I actually write, though, is very good. That was, I knew that it was never going to see release. Not that that meant, I'm going to write it as shitty as possible. I just wasn't going to detract from writing it to make sure it all sounded good. and I'm not going to go back and edit it. I don't give that much of a shit. It's never going to see the light of day, for one. It's only ever going to sit on my computer to where only I can read it. I had my girlfriend try to read it once, and she couldn't do it, and I couldn't blame her. I will read that and go, what the fuck did I try to say there? But anyways, some of my favorite authors. Currently my favorite series. I'm a big sci-fi geek. I say my favorite series. And the TV show is definitely my favorite TV show. Even over Game of Thrones. I hate that there's that dent in it. But S.A. Corey? Yeah, James S.A. Corey. The Expanse. Fuck, I love these books. These books are absolutely incredible. Closer look at that here. This is the first one. I have read the first two. I own all of them, though. I hear they get worse. But isn't that what everybody always says? I'm sure I'm going to get to book 6, read it, and go, I fucking love that. I don't know what people are talking about. Someone I feel has an incredible imagination and does more background, more resource fact-checking shit that anybody should ever have the business of doing. But what's incredible about this one is he does all that, and it's all factual. It is. But it blends in with his story, too. And I absolutely love that. You know what is fact. You know, when you read it, you know what you're getting out of this. That's information that you can go, oh yeah, this is actually real. As opposed to what's not real, which is what is actually just part of the story. And I appreciate that. And it's not just this series. Although this series is absolutely incredible. He has 2 books that are absolutely amazing as well. But this trilogy is amazing. A.G. Riddle. This one's the Atlantis Gene. What is the series called? The Mystery something. Are you okay, Tiffany? I don't like how short his chapters are necessarily, but The Origin Mystery. Fucking incredible. If you want something that will absolutely blow your mind as far as the scope of it and how in-depth it gets, this will do it. And it's not just that trilogy, the Origin Mystery trilogy. He's got 2 books that he just finished those 2. It was originally going to be a trilogy, but he didn't want to, he wrote the book, or he wrote it in 2 books, but he couldn't, keeping the story well done, he could not justify putting it into 3 books. He couldn't write any more to make a 3rd book, because he had already wrote the first one, and when he finished the second one, he realized that's the end of the story. He could not justify making a 3rd book and tainting the story. The first one's called Pandemic. I don't remember what the overall story arc is called, but I love that just as much as the Origin Mystery trilogy. I've already mentioned her name, Jenna Moreci, another one of my favorite authors. I have read this, Eve the Awakening, which is an absolutely incredible book. Usually, what is this? 500 pages? Yeah. we'll say 550 pages. You know, for most authors, that would take me 3-4 weeks to read. Not, partly because I'm a slow reader, partly because there's just so much shit going on. How long is this one? Is this one going to be... This one's going to be a lot easier to read, though, I can tell. It's about the same length, though. It's 550 or so pages. But it is not as dense. Some of this is densely packed. Not too bad, though. This is going to be... I cannot wait to read this. I got to read... Two Towers Part 2. The second part of the Two Towers. Before I read this. I also got to finish... that book that I got like 50 pages on is a Stephen King book, Pet Sematary. I don't know if I can actually say it's a good book. There's just so much boring filler. Well, I mean, I can give him credit for the fact that he can tell you what's about to happen. He has the fucking balls to tell you, oh yeah, this 3-year-old kid, he's gonna get hit by a semi 30 pages out. Keep reading, bitch. And you're like, I'm gonna keep reading. Not many authors can say that they can have the balls to tell you exactly what's gonna happen way before it actually happens, and you'll still read it. I can't say, though, that Pet Sematary is a great book. I've heard it's just an intro book into what Stephen King does, so you get an idea of how he is. That makes me afraid to read anything else by him, though. But I've heard there's a lot better books, and I have a lot more books by him. And for nothing else, just appreciating how great of a writer he is. And I understand he's a great writer, because I've watched his movies. I understand he's a great writer, because I have read other things by him, not books, but short stories and such. I also know he has a warped imagination, and I love that. I also appreciate that he does cameos in the movie version of his books. Or anything that's actually just a movie and never was a book. Which Rose Red should have been a book. I love Rose Red. Why was that not a book? It would have been an interesting book, but I feel like how long the movie is, it would have been like a 3,000-page book, and nobody wants to read a 3,000-page Stephen King book. Not when he describes some random shit for 10 pages. And I'm not shit... I am shit-talking Stephen King. But there is a reason why he is probably the most successful author these past 30-plus years. There's a reason why he can... And I'm not saying anything that he writes is bad, but he can basically shit on a page and his publishing company will be like, how quickly can we have this out? It's because he is a great writer and he is very incredibly imaginative. I guess this answers who I feel like is my favorite. So what I'm reading right now is part of this series, but this is one of the two that I say is my favorite author. I love this writing to death. I think I was talking about this earlier with Jenna, and then I didn't finish my thought. But how fast I read this. You know, like I said, typically that would take me 3 to 4 weeks. This took me like a week and a half to read. This is going to get cut out. I would sit there all the time and just read. not exactly, but this this author, I read his shit faster than anything, and it is very intellectual. Not nearly to the extent that the other author is. To my extent that I can still understand all the big words in the books. The other author, I'm not going to say that I don't understand what he's saying. I can also understand it's above me. But his books are about the same length, and like this is about 550 pages. You can already see what it is, though. I read this in a week. I did not know shit about this author. I did not know I would like him. Or nearly as much as I do. But I read this one, and this one I think was actually maybe 2 weeks, just because, at first I didn't know. Then this came out. This one I did finish in a week. Volume 1 of Kraken. Then I bought this, which it's not just Plague, which is a short side story. It also has that Diablo. Plague is a short side story of after the first novel, but before the second novel. Diablo is about, well, something that if you ever read them, you'll find out in the second novel. This takes place in somewhere you'd really want to know what the hell is going on, which I'm thinking is in this one. But, currently I haven't finished the chapter, which is heartbreaking. I meant to finish it on my last break, but I kept getting interrupted by people. I'm a manager, so people come to me for shit, and it's not appreciated when I'm trying to sit there and read. I have this much to do to get to the end of the chapter. 2 pages. I'm 125 pages in, and I got this 2 days ago, which I expected to be further than this, but hey, I got more shit going on than when the last 2 books came out. But, to an extent, I would say he is my favorite author, and his writing is absolutely incredible. Out of everything I've showed you, if you're not if you're not huge into science fiction or into fantasy, and especially like modern fantasy, if you're not into modern fantasy, I would not suggest Jenna Moreci, although The Savior's Champion I don't think is modern. But if you're not into sci-fi, I would not recommend A.G. Riddle. I would not recommend The Expanse. I would not recommend this one, especially. This one is my favorite, though. Neil Asher. I have not read this book, but I've read a bunch of books by him. This one is actually incredibly short for him. It was one of his first, though, too. His Praetor universe, probably the most imaginative thing I have ever learned about. Excuse me. Yeah. I don't think there's anything more imaginative, more descriptive than his Praetor universe. But, however, if you like science fiction, and you like things that are incredibly in-depth and incredibly nerdy, just to where you know, like, your normal person could read The Expanse and understand everything in it, as far as where I'm at. Same with anything A.G. Riddle writes. But, unless you're into sci-fi, Neil Asher is going to be, like, a different fucking language. But if you are into sci-fi and you have never read a Neil Asher book, first off, Praetor Moon is where you start. I did not. But he is still my favorite. And what the hell are you doing with your life if you are? This is, I feel like, going to be the best in the series so far. I am so excited for it. It has barely begun, though. Max is probably was the closest author I followed. But the Facebook group for Chronos Rising, a few weeks ago, for some reason that I don't understand, blocked me. And I don't understand because I don't really comment on anything. I do once in a while. But it's never anything bad. It's just like, especially if it's like about crocodiles. I know a lot about crocodiles. I'll just, you know, say something, but nothing that I ever felt was rude or anything. So I don't understand why I got blocked on there. I tried to email him on his website, which I'm sure is also somebody else who, you know, just runs it for him. So now I gotta go through Twitter, which I don't really like, just to keep up on what, you know, is going on with Max and everything. And like I said, I don't understand why I can't on Facebook anymore, why I got blocked. But it is quite upsetting because not only is he one of my favorite authors, I enjoy all the content that's posted on that group. And I can't ask on Facebook because being blocked, no messages can go through. It is upsetting. And I wish I could get an answer. Alright, sorry about that, guys. My phone died on me. Anyways. Let's see, there's milk here now. I am eating currently. So my phone died on me. Anyways. Conversation was over. The beer, like I said, the last one was 3.5. This one I might honestly give a 4.25. I'll say 4 to this one. This one's a lot better. It actually has that bitterness that you want from an IPA. I got nothing else. I was literally just about to finish the video. I'm a minute into this one. I don't think there would have been 2 more minutes on the other video. Or, well, it's going to be the same video for you, but the other recording. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Prost.